verse 11. So I ask, have they stumbled so as to fall? That is, has Israel stumbled so as to be completely out of the picture? By no means. But through their mistake, their error, their trespass, salvation has come to the Gentiles, so as to make Israel jealous. Do you see what Paul's saying? Okay, there's been a temporary hardening of Israelite hearts, so that the Gentiles could be welcomed in. And as they are welcomed in, the Israelites, the Jews, are going to look and say, wait, we want what they're having, right? Sadly, a rom-com line, "I'll have what she's having," came to mind. If you know When Harry Met Sally, but it's completely unrelated to this. Paul is seeing the Gentiles as a source of jealousness for the Jews, so that the Jews will come also, right? And so God is orchestrating this sort of temporary hardening in order for the Jews to be incentivized in a way they haven't yet been. Right? And then, now I'm speaking to you, 12, I'm sorry. If their trespass means riches for the world, and if their failure means riches for the Gentiles, how much more will their full inclusion mean? In other words, Paul sees this as a temporary state, and that they're going to join the vigil when it's their turn, that they're going to come on in, right, after this sort of temporary time of distance. And it'll be, if it was great when the world was advantaged by this, imagine when Israel returns. So for Paul, who's been mourning Israel's distance, I think he's saying with a legitimate kind of one of those goosebumps on the back of the neck, imagine when Israel does return. Now, I'm speaking to you Gentiles. Inasmuch then as I am an apostle to the Gentiles, I magnify my ministry, so that I make my fellows Jews jealous, and thus have saved some. For if their rejection means the reconciliation of the world, what will their acceptance mean but life from the dead? If the dough offered as first fruits is holy, so is the whole lump. And if the root is holy, so are the branches. But if some of the branches were broken off, and you, a wild olive shoot, remember he's talking to Gentiles, were grafted in their place to share the richness of the olive tree, do not boast over the branches. What's he saying to the Gentiles? You can't get smug because of this. It's how I started, right? You can't get smug because of this. If now you're in and some of the Israelites have not chosen to be in, you are now not the superior people. It would be ironic, but how many of you have suffered this? How many of you have been tempted to superiority, right? It's this human inclination. So he goes right to the Gentiles and says, all right, I know what's going to happen. I've said all these great things about how God chose you to be in at this time, and how God chose you in some ways at the expense of others at this time. Don't get fat and happy like they did, right? Don't get smug and superior, or else you will fall. Paul does this 3 or 4 times in his writings. Instead, he uses this image of the olive tree grafting. They have been grafted in the place of some branches, right? They've been brought into the tree. They aren't better branches. They've just been brought into the tree, and he's not a very good agrarian. He's not a very good, he doesn't know how olive trees are grafted, according to people who do know that. It makes it into some of the commentaries. But Paul is saying, you have been brought in, and you should feel blessed and grateful for that, not superior.